Side?
This is the law school, so it's supposed to look like a silo, like a agriculture.
Oh, wow.
Because I was law, this meant for like business, agriculture, and
Let's have. Which one? This is?
oh, that's the art building.
That's.
Wow. I like Iowa. Yeah, the library.
Is that how it is too?
No, that is library.
Then it gets a program.
Yeah, no, go back. They have, yeah, so they have different color coded rooms for different subjects, so this is like STEM, there's science, each things, all the different stuff.
No, video. Because if you have, run stars.
I did just cool.
But you not even.
And. Those are my. Like, wow, you're bored. That's your person.
No, not for those.
Yes. You're ready to do this.
Yeah, I like it's from the. Yeah, my dad told us this car, and it was a mile to my house. We drove the car back, and then he made my brother in my brother's car, take him back to where he had the deer, so they could take up his car. I just kept going.
What is she?
I didn't.
No, she's like, she has a white dash, I think, something that's like.
question for tonight is, what is your unpopular opinion? I'm gonna give a moment to think, because I know it's hard, but mine is, I think. So, if anyone wants to start, we can go order. We.
I think hey dudes, like the shoes, I like the optimistic stuff. You didn't have to attack me like that. You just walked in and hey dudes.
Okay, interesting, nice. Cheese, okay. Oh, okay.
Sorry, trying.
Okay, we'll do one more time. Caleb,
Cheez-Its, awful cracker, hate them.
okay. Trina? I think ketchup is dirty tomato water. Kayla. Oh, cheese. Oh, it's disgusting.
I hate coffee so much. It's so hard.
It's so hard.
I think public sauce from.
Oh. No one.
I'm not a fan of Hamilton.
Oh. Sorry, it's popular opinion. Mayor Rob Green, do you have one? What's your unpopular opinion?
The thing that I like that other people don't like?
Yeah.
Or, yeah, or we don't like, but people like.
Okay, I'm gonna take a pass, come back.
Okay, Mike, you have one?
I'm not a fan of Harry Potter.
Oh.
Sorry, I've never watched that. Neither Marvel. Like the only Marvel is Black Panther, sorry.
That's.
I'm the biggest fan of Chick-fil-A.
Oh,
I just don't like her.
okay. Jacob.
Taylor Swift, soft.
Oh,
Yes.
I absolutely despise when people decorate for Christmas before Thanksgiving.
Sorry.
Cake and ice cream.
Oh, okay. That's fair. That's together. Or
I just hate.
Right, second.
Yeah, I hate cake and I hate ice cream.
I hate ice cream. Like every single time you hate it, you eat it or you eat your birthday.
Yeah, fine.
I like sauerkraut on pizza.
Oh my
God.
goodness. Okay, that's, yeah, Jocko.
Nirvana is vastly over. The world would be a better place if cell phones never work.
Anyone else from our audience? Mayor Green.
All right, so I'm gonna have to go with zombie movies. I don't get the appeal. It's like they're dead.
That's great, perfect. Anyone else? Moving on. All right, and with that, we're gonna move on to student forum and announcements. Are there any motions to be recognized for student forum and announcements? Go ahead one more time. And if now we move to call for changes to the order of the day, are there any calls for changes to the order of the day? And going one more time. If not, we then move on to the approval of last meeting's minutes, our 13th regular set of meeting minutes brought to our chief of staff, Trina Tunjan. Let's take in. I mean, a motion for approval. Okay, and a second. Thank you, guys. Okay, and with that, we're gonna get right into it, beginning with our guest reports, and I would like to cordially welcome Mayor Rob Green as our first guest report.
I don't have a presentation tonight, so I get to just sort of wander around. It's an honor to be with you tonight. Name is Rob Green. Somehow I landed as the mayor like 3 years ago. And I thought, oh, this is gonna be awesome. We're doing all kinds of stuff. And then COVID. I spent 2 years as the COVID mayor. And I said, this stinks. I don't know if I want to be mayor. Things kind of got a little bit better toward the end of like last year, and then it seemed like right about January, everything's like, we're open again, COVID's over. So this past 9 months has been fantastic. And it's been all kinds of problems, but they've been normal mayor problems. Just really glad to deal with stuff that a mayor normally deals with. Part of that kind of reset or refresh with city government is for my entire time as mayor, we've not really had an active student liaison in city council. And it's just been because either it's been virtual classes or things have gotten away. So I got to meet Zach Zip last year, just about April. We confirmed him as the student liaison, and that lasted till May. So it's like, great to see you, Zach. Bye, Zach. Have a good life. But now having this opportunity again to sort of rebuild that program for student liaison, and also seeing it not just as okay, we'll have a student come from you and I and sit in the council chambers, but what's that two-way street? What does it mean for the city to come in and actually talk about city issues with you as well that matter to you? So for tonight, I'm just going to kind of hang out and listen in to see what some of these questions are, and wanted to give just a quick introduction just so you kind of know me better. Like I said, I've been mayor since January of 2020. Before that, I was a very happy UNI employee. Sometimes I wonder why I switched out to the stress of the mayordom. But I was a web developer. That's my trade. So I want to leave of absence from Rod Library and from IT services, where I have a little letter from Marty Mark that says I get to come back when I'm done being mayor. So I'm super excited about that. But in the meantime, there's all sorts of things to work on. The biggest thing being for us, College Hill, and how we help to, as a city, promote the redevelopment of the Hill. And then something that's personally on my heart a lot is looking at a renter's bill of rights. And I know that that's going to drive from Iowa, or University of Iowa, student government down there has been pushing the state legislature to establish statewide a law that lists out what the specific rights are for renter, particularly for college student renter. Heard all kinds of horror stories from my student workers about mold and insects and busted out windows and things like that. And the concern from the renter is that if I report this, I'm going to get in trouble. I might lose my lease. I might get the repercussions back on me. And we've got to do a better job of making the renters appreciate that if the landlord isn't doing something right, this isn't a dispute between the renter and the landlord. It's a dispute between the landlord and the city, because these are laws and ordinances that the landlords are required to follow. So it's a longer term process than something we can fix in a couple of months, but very much want to see that through this new legislative session. And that's, as I talked with Noah about the engagement we can have helping students at the State House. That's one of the things I would love to see. And also building up a mental health component within the city to be better support for our residents, which include our students. And very much eager to help students, especially at the college level, appreciate local government, because I certainly didn't when I was in college. But I think there's this misnomer that of the three levels of government, we have this federal government, state, and then local. That people tend to see that like the local is like, oh, it's the lowest level of government. When really it's not. We've got just as hard problems to deal with, just as important things to deal with as the folks at the level, at the state and federal level. But the big difference is we're close to you. So I like to say that we're not the lowest level of government, we're the closest level. City Hall is your city hall. Some way or another, you're paying taxes into the system. You have just as much a right as anybody else to come to City Hall and have your voice heard. So I hope that during my time as mayor through this springtime and then to the fall as well, I can help you be better advocates for yourselves and for the student community to City Hall. And you'd see me as a mentor. If you have questions, my email address is just mayor@cedarfalls.com. I love working with students. I really miss it. The best thing I did at UNI was being the practicum supervisor for the interactive digital studies cohort. We built a web firm and we had the students do all the work at the web firm, and I pretended to be the CEO and help them build the skills they needed. And I was able then to offer job recommendations and post letters of appreciation and things like that on LinkedIn, what they call them, recommendations. Forget it, big on LinkedIn. But yeah, so being able to put those out proactively so that future employees would see, oh yes, this person has worked in a corporate environment and knows how to make that work. I'd love to do the same thing for government as well. If you're interested in kind of civic positions down the road, I can be a an advocate for you to do that as well. So regardless of what your political positions are, I just want people to be more interested. So that's my story, and I'm open to a couple more questions. I do have a pirate joke at the end, so hang on for that. So what questions might you have for me right off the bat, if any? No pressure. Yes.
Say something about redeveloping the hill.
Yes, that's a big project, and it's actually it's probably our biggest point of contention in the city council right now is there's, gosh, I could take a half an hour to talk about how everything works, but the 30-second infomercial for it is that we have zoning ordinances for the city that say what can be built where. And we're in the process of completely overhauling this system because it was built in the 1970s. And we've been putting Band-Aids on our code ever since then. So in the downtown area, we recently, like last year, approved an entire overhaul of zoning to get the kinds of buildings that we want to have and to have ability to put in like apartment buildings and townhouses and things like that we couldn't do previously. Well, it's working out pretty well. There's a couple of council members who are still upset about it and trying to get it changed back. But that's been keeping us from then moving on to College Hill. We have this great vision plan that the community put together about a year and a half ago. It's available on the web. It's Collegeville Vision Plan is what it's called. But this plan says what kinds of buildings and development we want to see in our area. And if we can just get zoning put in place for it, developers would jump at the chance to build. They just don't want to do it right now because we're still stuck in between codes. So if I'm doing anything pressure-wise on council, it's to get them to agree to move forward with a College Hill zoning change. And students can be a really great advocate for that as well. Because what we're looking to do is take down some of the dilapidated properties, put up more modern apartments with retail on the ground floor, and to make College Hill much more like downtown Cedar Falls, where everything comes right to the street. It's called a no setback requirements, so that way you can have storefronts all along, just like you have with like Domino's Pizza and Jimmy John's. Like that would be multiplied 5 or 6 times along this whole stretch of College Hill, so that you have one long promenade with trees on it, with great crosswalks designated, and make it a much more pedestrian friendly area than it is today. And you're having this lived experience on the hill, which sometimes hopefully is good. I realize sometimes it's not so good, but what do we need to do as a city to help make that better? So long answer to a short question, but it's something I'm really passionate about. And probably at the next time I come in, that brief I give you will be the College Hill Vision Plan. So then you can force your council members to do it with me. And also, there may be an open seat for a council member this fall or in the November election. There's no reason a student can't fill that spot. And it's a big change from the past where this area, it's called Ward 5. It used to be just a tiny sliver of College Hill and then a whole chunk of Western home communities. So it's kind of an older demographic of seniors. Now the Ward 5 has changed, so it's almost all College Hill and the university, and then down into the Meadows and kind of the newer, younger family areas. So I think there could be a turnover in that seat. And if a student wanted to serve in it, I would be very happy to help kind of, I can't endorse anybody, but I'd be happy to show you what you need to know to effectively run. So something to consider on top of everything I'm shooting. Oh, any other questions? Okay, well, I've got, oh, yes.
I am the graduate, so I'm also help students. Facebook.
Yes, it's designed for that because that's for the ADA standards from 1992. Those are incorporated in all new zoning laws. Ours is, like I said, just Band-Aids. Okay, so pirate joke, you guys ready? Okay, so what did the pirate say on his 80th birthday? Okay, you've been a great audience. Then does he get, but next up, director.
Good evening, everyone. Great, so it's a little longer tonight, but I will get through it as. First thing is our Board of Regents update, which happened the 9th and the 10th in Council Bluffs. Some key notices were the new nursing program that was approved here on campus, which will be big, and Nancy Kurtz is the university's new executive director of nursing and chief academic nursing administrator. So they announced formally all that on the 14th of November. It'll be a huge addition. If I talked about this a little in my last report, but you and I's goals are to make degrees that are accessible for the biggest workforce needs in the state. One of those is nursing. So it'll be a great addition. And once they have facilities for it as well, I think it'll be really good for the university. So it's a good way forward. Large number of infrastructure projects. A lot of these are making buildings ADA compliant. HVAC purposes, they're doing a bunch of roof repairs on the ITTC. I talked about that last time as well. The building people just went through a lot of those repairs. Almost nearly every building on campus needs some repair, whether it be HVAC, roofing, ADA compliance, something. I have the entire list. If you ever want to see it, it's crazy to look at. And it's a lot of money. Some of the completed ones are in the athletic area, team room, practice facility, soccer fields. The other big part was the chief of police and director of public safety, Helen Harris. She gave her update on all the crime stats that the university police are seeing. Pretty consistent. She talked about motor vehicle thefts were a little jump over a weekend span. 4 vehicles were stolen in one weekend. They caught the person, but it's just crazy that was a jump in a weekend. Increases in alcohol and liquor violations, that usually happens for being pulled over, and that's what they see in your vehicle. Vehicle burglaries, a lot of the vehicles were not locked at the time. You probably get crime alerts on those as well. And then she talked about the crime alert system. The other two university public safety directors also went over those, but what's a crime alert, is emergency alert, and text messaging system, and what those classifications are as well. So she went over those. Lots of interesting stuff. I recommend that you go and watch the live stream. It's available on YouTube. If you just type in Iowa Movies. They're 5 hours long, but you can skip to the committees you want to watch, and you and I part in each of them, although the other two schools have some interesting stuff going on as well. President Burke's report just really talked about the Our Tomorrow campaign, and that already $185 million has been raised. The goal is 250, and they want to have it all finished by 2026, which will obviously be the university's 150th anniversary. And the 50th year of the Black Student Union. I encourage you all to follow them on social media, go to their events. It's a really great organization, multicultural center on the second level of Hawker Union, has lots of great resources. So check it out, their 50th anniversary, which is really, really cool. Great. General fund update. Not a lot coming in. This update was more on enrollment figures and budgetary figures. Enrollment came in less than what was budgeted for, but the university did make that up in other areas where they had to cut costs to make that up. And a lot of that is because our enrollment is down. Being down, and of course, I said this before, and Mason asked a question last meeting, is because students are graduating at such a high rate now too, and we're making degrees accessible to them in other areas. So that contributes to the lack of in-person enrollment here on campus, and students getting degrees very quickly, transfers, 3+1 programs, stuff like that. So that has a big impact as well. And then Student Health Center, I'm not going to go through all these numbers, but I'll just give you a quick glance at them. Student Health Clinic utilization numbers for fiscal year 2022 so far. Everything's gone up. A few things have gone down. Telehealth, I believe, has gone down just because in-person visits are a lot more common due to COVID measures in place now. The counseling center hired a mental health case manager, is able to manage appointments a little easier. So if you had trouble getting appointments sooner or just scheduling them in general, the person they hired has helped to sort of alleviate some of those issues. But normally, and the other two universities express this as well, if it's immediate, they can try to get you the day in, the day of, or the next day. If it's, they just need an appointment for something, it's usually within the week. So those are the waiting numbers. Lots more, and like I said, you can watch those if you just type in Iowa Board of Regents on YouTube. All the live streams are there, all for you to access. Lots of interesting stuff and lots more I didn't cover, but these are the big things. LLT, we had our third meeting. We were able to talk about our agenda once more. We had Mary Braun and Oksana, interim chief of staff, join us for the meeting. Mary really talked about how to talk with legislators down at the Capitol, how to approach them, keep your pitches short, get to the point. And she talked about just a lot of other things. Her one sheet, she has two one sheets that go over tuition differentiation and numbers, enrollment, budgets, all that. So she gave those out. We were able to use those and are able to talk about those. Counseling contact has been going really good. I've been in contact with other counselors who are supporting that legislation. And like I said, it does plan to be reintroduced. So we're really happy to hear that. I did have Mary reach out to me about voter registration, but with your student IDs. If anyone's particularly interested in that, you can come and talk to me. We're a little unsure whether we're going to support it or not yet, just because there's some issues that I want to work through. But the biggest issue she talked about, she has a nephew at Iowa State, who is a niece at Iowa State, who was not allowed to vote because they weren't able to show their student ID as one of those forms because they don't have a lot of things mailed to their residence place from their permanent residence. So, and in most cases, if you're registering on the day, you have to have, I believe it is a second form or proof of residence when you're registering. And that can cause some problems for students because, like I said, they don't always have their permanent address information with them at their door. So she's talked a little bit about that and making voter ID more accessible. The only issue I see with voter IDs, using student IDs, is they don't have year dates and things like that on our student IDs. They just have our first, last name, and our pictures and our ID numbers. So just validity, we want to make sure we're getting everything right with that before we present it to anyone. But it's a good start, and I think it was a good idea, and we'll definitely take a look at it again and add it if we need to. Day on the Hill, I have more information on it. It's February 14th. It's Valentine's Day. I know I didn't plan that day, but that's the day it is. We're going to show our love down at the Capitol. But I do need at least 50 students to join us down on the Capitol on the 14th. I'll be sending out a Google form that you can all fill out if you want to join us. We'll provide transportation, we'll provide lunch, and the string quartet will be back. For their last year, we'll have it again. And it's really just a great opportunity for legislators to see UNI students, to see them from all different areas. It's a really great thing. We'll have name tags as well. And I don't think we're doing shirts this year, but name tags will be a good start. And again, more specifics to come on that, but it will be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We'll need you to stay in that general area during that time, just because, you know, legislators come in and out of chambers. And sometimes if we're looking for a student and you've gone off to look at the dome, which is beautiful, and you should do that as well. It just can be a little chaotic with planning. So just stay in that area. And then before and after, we can take those trips to the dome and do those fun things as well. And we'll probably leave around 7:30 or 8 a.m. Start at 10 a.m. or there early, we can help set up. But it should be a fun day. Like I said, it's a great way for legislators to see UNI students and get acquainted with them. And here is a city relations update, my first one of the year. I met with Mayor Green yesterday at City Hall. We had a great conversation about the city and the university. A lot I didn't put on here. But we talked about College Hill development. We talked about Board of Regents talking about security and lighting and all of those different things, and where to know what's university and what's city property. And it was a great meeting. And there was a letter sent out, and I'll cover the position of city council representative. And if we have an applicant, which if you know anybody, again, encourage them to apply, we'll be happy to move them into the position as well. I can help them with that. You get to work with me. You get to work with him. That's right. So I got to see the development at City Hall, which is really cool as well, and the construction and everything going on. So it's very exciting. It was, like I said, a great meeting, and we're in our final weeks before finals. So hang in there, hang strong. You're almost done. You're so close. You can taste last class for your final. I guess I should say that. We don't taste your final yet. And here's a quote that I really liked from Theodore Roosevelt, which nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. If anybody has any questions. It was a lot. I'm sorry. A lot to go through. More to come, but this is the bulk of it. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one.
And with that, we'll move on from our guest report from the board of directors, beginning with the director of the environmental prevention, which will be by our chief of staff.
Sorry, I took some. Okay, so if you don't know my name, the chief of staff, my name is Trina, and I'm going to report on behalf of Christian Clater, he's our director of gender violence prevention. So to start off within his position, Christian has enforced initiatives for the campus as well as working for behind the scenes of Green Dot, which we discussed a lot here, all while working at the Office of Compliance and Equity Management. If you want to go follow them, it's UNI_OC. They have a lot of great content there that they recommend. So as Christian has been in his position, Green Dot has made a lot of great strides this year. They had their official launch party back on September 21st with some great outcome of 150 people, which was pretty impressive. A lot of NISG members attended, and I plan on having some more events in the spring on this. So at the launch event, they were able to share more information about the program, get more people excited about what Green Dot has to offer. And at the end of the event, there was a lot of individuals that signed up for training. Christian did want to share some statistics regarding training. So as of right now, they had 74 individuals that have participated in faculty and staff overviews, 99 individuals that have currently participated in student overviews, and 60 individuals that have participated in legislative workshops, so those longer 3-hour ones. So all these sessions are super informative and have been very insightful for a lot of NISG members. And once again, with some of those trainings, I definitely recommend signing up if you have not. If you have any questions about what those trainings look like, don't hesitate to reach out to Christian, Sam, or I if we could questions, or if not, redirect you. If you have any ideas to promote Green Dot or want to be more involved with Green Dot events, you can reach out to the Green Dot graduate assistant, Hannah Mencken, and I can give you her contact if you want. And also, if you're looking to sign up for trainings, that can be done at the Green Dot at uni.edu, all lowercase and spaces. And that's the listing of where the trainings are, the times, the dates, so you can see where. But aside from Green Dot, Christian has been working hard on promoting Title IX and coordinating with the Office of Compliance and Equity Management to spread word about what Title IX is, what it does, and how it impacts all students, not just student athletes, which is a common misconception. Also, in the image here, you can see the display where they were able to serve in Raw Library to commemorate what Title IX has looked like over the past 50 years, because if you know, this is the 50th anniversary of Title IX. With that, Christian is currently working on creating a panel/lecture to share more information on Title IX. It is aiming to have that sometime in the spring semester. If you want to be involved with that, I definitely recommend reaching out to him. He has a lot of great ideas for how that's going to work. And finally, Christian is working on relaunching the Do You Know Guild 117 for the OCM office, OCEM office, and is working on creating some digital signage about how the Office of Compliance and Equity Management can help campus make safer, make the environment safer for everybody. And of course, if you have any questions, this is his email, but don't hesitate, you can reach out to Sam or I as well. But he's a really great person to work with, and he has a lot of thanks.
With that, we're moving on to our Director of Racial and Ethnic Affairs report, given by Luigi.
Everyone's office sounds name is Luigi. I'm the Director of Racial and Ethnic Affairs. So really my kind of goal for this position throughout this semester was to, lack of a better word, like be involved in like different things, those like different student organizations, also on campus jobs. So kind of at the start of the semester, so I was a pathfinder for Jumpstart. So right away being involved with already students of color, first gen students as well. So kind of a lot going on there. Then being part of CAT Crew, started my role as the VP or co-VP of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for the Panther Ambassadors organization. And then I actually got reached out to by Sarah Croft, the CATS organization, like one of my students, to be a part of the DEI and Belonging Committee for University Advancement or UNI Foundation. So I've been having monthly meetings with Sarah, Elizabeth Trudeau, with UNI Alumni Foundation, and like other upper heads, I just can't remember the names of. Just working with them to figure out like philanthropy in the DEI lens. And yeah, for like the Panther Ambassadors org, so being a part of the co-VP for DEI, I'm just mostly working actually alongside with Caleb. Sorry, just working with like new member training, different events, to kind of basically foster a relationship with all students in the organization, as well as bringing in different speakers from the different partners here. So kind of fast forward to September, which is a good segue actually. So Panther Ambassadors hosted first retreat, and apart from me and Caleb, I was actually responsible for kind of that planning section. So finance, what the event entails, and kind of focusing on the racial and ethnic affairs report. We do have a lot of students of color in the organization. So I took the time to kind of follow up with the members through a Google form, kind of seeing how the retreat went. Obviously, there's a lot of room for improvement, but the one that stuck out the most was kind of fostering those relationships with new and kind of existing members. It's kind of complicated, but just kind of seeing how for next semester, how planning for events. How. Then in October, I actually started my involvement with the Asian Student Union. I was actually appointed to the exec board, so I'm really excited to kind of continue that for next semester. This is like kind of irrelevant, but I went to a leadership conference in Houston, Texas for a class. And that's kind of, it focuses on nonprofit, which is like not in my field as a psychology major. But I learned a lot about like mental health, budgeting, diversity, especially too. So kind of all those important things to kind of help apply to not only this role, but with my major, the other organizations that I'm in, as well as my employment. So yeah, just kind of the big takeaways from there. This is actually my first like time being involved with the UNI multicultural education organization. So kind of being like catered to the Asian population. So helpful, especially gaining insight from just students of color in general, but especially with the Asian student population, and kind of representing them more here on this campus. And it's good to gain like that leadership experience as well. And then fast forward to November, me also alongside with Caleb, he had also reached out to me. And another student too, working at the UNI Foundation, reached out to me about a potential DEI project that we're going to be kind of working on an ongoing basis. So essentially, kind of like the idea is establish a communication base for the different student organizations here on campus. Strive to reach the diversity, equity, inclusion aspect to increase effectiveness. And I know one of the ideas that they have mentioned was like, for example, creating and ensuring a safe environment for members at meetings. But obviously, this is like a work in progress. But I'm excited to kind of see how this project looks like at the end of the semester or for the next year or two. Sure. In terms of my future plans, I don't know what's happening, but I have been reached out to by about joining the President's Council for the DEI. But some President's Council with diversity in it. So I'm working next semester, so I'm very excited to see how that turns out. But other than that, just being more involved with Asian Student Union, my co-VP role and ambassadors, and just working on campus as a success coach, meeting students with different backgrounds, using their interests with the represented here. Questions?
This is actually a review.
Put on the calendar. Awesome.
All right. Thank you very much. And with that, move on to our director. We're given by.
Hi everyone, I'm Liz. Let's begin. So let's start October 27th. So this was like the beginning of my initiative. I met with the Student Health Center. I met with the Assistant Vice President Executive Director. I also met with the Social Director, Student Health Clinic Director, Counseling Center Director, Student Health and Wellbeing Coordinator. So I met with a bunch of important head people that take part in the Student Wellness Center just to make sure that us students were doing good. So what we discussed in the meeting, obviously we introduced ourselves and what kind of our initiatives are as a team. Alongside that, we discussed the different resources that the Student Health Center has on campus. A lot of the things that they provide, I know that students don't realize that that's there, such as like screenings. I know a lot of people don't really go into like the therapy sessions because they don't really think they're accessible. So we just spoke about how these things that they do could be more accessible to students, and maybe a little less intimidating, just stigma, especially adults. We also did talk about the Let's Talk program. So we briefly discussed how really students are not using this program, but this is a program catered to students by students. We spoke about how we could see how if we don't really necessarily know this person, we're not going to tell them everything, right? Because we don't want to like comment on her or anything like that, or we don't really necessarily have a bond with this person. So we spoke about how maybe that could possibly change. Also alongside their locations. A lot of the times we spoke about how the location for the Let's Talk program aren't really accessible. I know there's one in Saban. We did mention about taking that one away just because Saban is an open area and people just don't really know that that's there. I know they do have one in the Center for Multicultural Education. We did speak about the stigma that is put on, especially with people of color and mental health. So we wanted to just make sure that that would be an outreach and the room is accessible for students as well. We also discussed how the student health center wanted to work more closely alongside other student organizations. So I did mention a recent one that has just came up in the board's message. This one is with partake student athletes. They actually didn't even know that that existed. So we spoke about how we would like to engage the student health center more alongside student organizations, and we spoke about how I would basically be the middle person just because I am also a student, but I also have quote unquote higher position that could allow this connection to merge together. We also plan to meet at least once a month if schedules are allowed to do so. So now we will fast forward November 2nd. So I won't really say much about this just because I have not really done much for it like at all. I was just reached out by Haley Benham about the Green Banana Project that's actually worked on alongside Audrey Ben, which is the Vice President of Active Minded and Speaker Sam Cochran. I know he's been helping her a lot. So basically I just reached out to her because I would like to be a helping hand with this. I think it's really important. This is a little trigger warning maybe. For those of you who don't know, it's the Green Banana Project. It's a mental health awareness and suicide prevention campaign. It is something that is national and we would like to bring it outside campus. So this would basically allow everyday conversations with alongside different types of prevention training. They tend to meet on Mondays, every other Monday at 7. I was not allowed to attend last meetings, but I did get sent the meeting minutes. That's really all I know about it. I just have reached out to Audrey Bent to obviously help them and know that they need anything. So we can fast forward to November 9th, where I met with Trina, our chief of staff, and we briefly discussed over the phone with Vice President Haya about engagement week that we have coming up in January. So my specific day is going to be January 25th. And this is going to be mental health night. So we were able to debrief just basically what we as a team think for the students it would be best for the students to do. So we discussed having an event throughout the day, kind of just have like students be more flexible in and out. We discussed Mocker probably because it is a high traffic zone. Ideally the ballrooms, just because we were planning on having stations for each student, so it's catered to their liking. So for the station ideas, we kind of have just a mix of things that we kind of brainstorm. So you do like crafts and paintings. We can do like coloring pages or a canvas or mug paintings. We also talked about having a labyrinth. So actually from the Student Health Center, Shauna Jesse, she has a labyrinth that she really likes to use, and she's actually spoken to me about how not a lot of students know that this is a thing, and she would like to take it out more. So she basically takes out essential oils, and it's a calming area where you just basically get to reflect on yourself and relax. We also spoke about having pets there, so we would reach out to the Humane Society, and then we would also, considering allergies, we would have this in separate rooms. Alongside food, we agree that we believe that it'd be best to have kind of like hand snacks, so like popcorn, candy. We could also have a little more interactive food activity, which would be like decorating cookies. And then you could probably eat it. And then we could potentially partner up with Coca-Cola for refreshments. We could also do like a reflection station. So this would just basically be like journaling, or I really like this idea where you can write yourself an uplifting letter and we can later on mail it to them throughout the year. We also spoke about creating a collage, so everyone in attendance would basically, we would have a big piece of paper, everyone in attendance could have their handprint on the paper, just so everyone knows that we're all in this together. It's not something that anyone just struggles by themselves. And we can hang it up somewhere or in our office, right? And then we also spoke about having a unity walk. We spoke about how this could be a really good idea, but it may interfere with what we want to do. So we could actually do like a separate event for this later on when it's nicer out. So people could just come together and just know that they're not alone. And then afterwards, we could reflect on everything and maybe possibly have some discussions alongside other people. And this could be outside for space areas. And then also it is nice outside. So I know that tends to help sometimes with your mind. So some important aspects of this event would be we would reach out to different organizations on campus that are centered around mental health, such as like Active Minds or Morgan's Message. I know a lot of times student athletes are able to attend a lot of these events, so we would like to possibly have them in attendance if possible. So we would reach out to those organizations, and we would obviously reach out to like the Student Health Center, and they could possibly speak to us about different resources that they have. They could probably have a presentation that they're willing to share with us and have some speakers just highlight some keynote stuff that maybe students aren't aware of. We have yet to discuss who we would like to be there, but I would reach out to them. And then some idea takeaways, we were thinking that we could also, along partnering up with the Student Health Center, we can have like stress ball or just stuff like that that they're able to provide for us. We also talked about decorating pins, so we can go on Canva and make some pins that have affirmations or just stuff to promote mental health. We could also have other organizations, maybe they have pins and partner up with them, so we can take those away. We could also have a QR code for us, so we can get more people involved in NISG because it is important. So for us to do, we could also have pamphlets from the counseling center, so people just know the resources are there. And then at the bottom, I just have a contact list of these people that I've spoken to throughout the 3 months that I've been here, but that's what I have. So thank you. Any questions?
All right. After we're moving out of our report docket into our legislative docket for this evening, beginning with SSR 2023-20. This is a Senate appointment. I am going to invite Shayar Khan to the front of the room to introduce himself. Really should have like a region. I should have like these like right, yeah, right.
Right. Hi everyone. My name is Sherry Arfan. You can call me Sherry. That's all. And I'm an international student. I'm from Pakistan, and I'll be double majoring in computer science. And I'm in CATS and ISP. That's it.
All right, and with the introduction session completed, we move to the period of questioning for our nominee. Are there any motions to be recognized for questioning for our nominee?
What would you be interested in joining at?
Joining what?
Joining it at
Oh, so the thing is that I've been into student government since I was in my high school, right? And the thing that interests me the most is that I could make a change. If I don't like something, I could do something about it. And that's the power that I will have if I'm into NISG, right? So if I'm just a regular student, I could talk to someone who is into NISG, but they won't have that passion or that, push to do something about it, do something about it. This is why I joined. I'm hoping to join NISG so that I have the voice to change something.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you to our nominee. Are there any further motions to be recognized for questioning for our nominee? Going one more time.
You have any like initiative ideas that you want to take on?
So the first one that I think is that so there are a lot of religious minorities here, you and I, right? I want to provide some space or like a room for them so that they can go and they can, practice their religion without having to think that someone might judge them. And the other one would be, the first month that I arrived at UNI, I didn't even know that NISG existed, right? And so the second initiative that I want is to make NISG accessible to students. So that people know that this exists. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you to our nominee. Are there any other further motions to be recognized for questioning? Going one more time. And if not, I'm just gonna ask you to go. Moving out of a period of questioning, the Senate then moves into a period of debate on SSR 2023-3. Are there any motions to be recognized for debate? Going one more time. And if not, the Senate then moves into a placard vote. All in favor? Any opposed? We don't have to. Any abstain? Okay, with a vote of 10-0 to 1. With a vote of 10-0 to 1, SSR 2023-23 is hereby passed. For me, if you do the oath of office, I do have it on the screen. So raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Shariya Khan,
Promise to uphold and execute
promise to uphold and execute
the Constitution and bylaws of the Northern Iowa Student Government
the Constitution and bylaws of the Northern Iowa Student Government
and the duties of my position to the best of my ability,
and the duties of my position to the best of my ability,
and pledge to improve the quality of
and pledge to improve the quality of
the academic and student life
the academic and student life
of my constituents of the University of Iowa.
of my best.
All right, congratulations. All right, wonderful. And with that, we'll move on to our next piece of business this evening, SSR 2023-24. This is appointing Caleb to the Campus Relations Committee Chair. Caleb, would you like, you don't have to come up front, but would you like to give a few words?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I applied on this position because I heard that there was no chair. And I wanted to join this committee, but you can't do that without there being a chair. And I applied due to my extensive knowledge of campus, the relations that I've been able to build throughout the last nearly 5 years here on campus. I believe I'm the person to further and strengthen those relations for this role.
Are there any questions for our nominee? All right, then, if not, I want to do this. Is there any debate? Okay, if not, then we'll move into a placard vote. All in favor? Any abstain? Opposed with a vote of 9 yea, 0 nay, 2 abstain. The resolution is hereby passed. That moves on to our controversial docket for this evening. Oh, Senator Miller.
Unanimous consent.
There is a motion for unanimous consent on the floor. Is there a second? Second, and that will move to a placard vote. All in favor? Any abstain? Any no, nay, whatever. Okay, so now there's 12, right? 12 of you, 12 of you. Okay, so the vote of, right? I'm not gonna be down. 13. Yes. Okay, so with a vote of, you know what, it passed.
That happens at City Hall all the time.
Yeah, right. Okay. With that, SSB 2023-40 is back on the floor. This is just making all the term. I know what it's about, so It's just making all the gender specific informations. Are there any objections? And if not, SSB 2023-40 is hereby passed. With that, we'll move on to SSB 2023-50. A bill for Bruce Eiler's Memorial Chapter of American String Teachers Association at UNI. UNI has a chapter. It's a club that creates and leads a community of diverse members to advance string teaching. Are there any objections to this legislation? And if not, SSB 2023-50 is hereby passed. And with that, we move on to SSB 2023-51. This is a bill for Panhellenic Council. They're requesting funding for assistance with their annual College of Panhellenic Academy. They're requesting $1,000 total, which will be allocated as such. Are there any objections to this legislation? And if not, SSB 2023-51 is hereby passed. And with that, we move on to our last piece of legislation this evening, SSB 2023-52, a bill for Phi Mu Alpha Symphonia. It's requesting funding for assistance with hiring a guest artist for their 2023 Symphonia Dimensions and Jazz Festival. They're requesting $2,500 allocated as such. Are there any objections to this legislation? And if not, SSB 2023-52 is hereby passed. And with that, I now bring our 14th regular Senate meeting to adjourn at 6:51 p.m.
Will we look at a picture with Mayor?
They're only $10.
Ew.
Okay, I got a second joke for you while you're waiting.
Okay.
And I just heard this one. Hope I get it right. Did you hear that corduroy pillowcases are all the rage this year?
What are?
They're making headlines everywhere.
All time.
Caroline. Yeah, all right. I see a little.
We have our meetings. Next week.
Come in.
Wow. Yes, Claire. So ladies.
Caroline, let me take it.
You want
Did you get this now?
I did.
All right. Here we go, 1, 2. Capturing meaningful moments, that's the weird pattern said.
Yeah, it's also Caleb's headshot, their senator's headshot.
I'm so speedy.
I mean, it's a great picture. Like,